Gonna see if anyone joins. Waiting for the 50,000 people. Did you know that your phone is at 6%?
It's plugged in though.
Is that gonna be enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's plugged in.
You have more faith than I do, because Instagram goes quickly.
Yeah. It's hardwired in.
All right, folks. We are excited to be live. I'm having a debate with my team whether starting Instagram Live with 7% battery life was a good idea. Would love people to give feedback on that while we're waiting for other folks to come on in. Excited to have 14. This is amazing. I'm Representative Maxine Dexter. I represent the great state of Oregon. Very honored to be here. Thank you to CJ Oregon. Greetings from Oregon. And Congresswoman, it's such a crazy thing that's what I am, but really just excited to be here. Obviously, we have many things to talk about. I'll just keep saying hello. Thank you for joining us. Please hang in there. We're going to wait a couple minutes and see if we can get a few people on. We do have some folks in the room. Thank you for joining us. This has been a wild day. We've had 3 press conferences and spoken on the floor a couple times. It just feels like we are doing everything we can to communicate, and so really appreciate you all being here. I welcome folks. While we're getting people in the room, please feel free to ask questions, make comments. Hello. Oh, that's so fun. And it's child. Okay, so I feel like the Peloton instructors who are trying to say people's names without being offensive. Tile Greg Greer. Really great to meet you. I think my team is embarrassed by me. Excited to see. Oh my gosh, Lauren Morrison. It's so good to see you. Lauren was one of my first chiefs of staff in the state legislature, so great to have you here. And Elizabeth, oh my goodness, lots of friends. It's really great to see folks here. And Reed is here too. My goodness, people. Okay, so why don't we just get started? I'm going to start talking about what's been happening. I've been in Congress since January 3rd. This has been an interesting time to start public service in Washington, D.C. Oregon, obviously, is deeply concerned based on the number of phone calls that we're getting. We have an amazing team, and people from Oregon are keeping us very informed on where their concerns are most lying. And the number one thing by far is Elon Musk and his role in our government right now. And what is clear is we need to communicate what we're doing. I think folks are, frustrated by the fact that an unelected billionaire can waltz into different agencies and request personal information like Social Security numbers and Treasury history, and that there's really no vetting or no anything to check those actions. So people are concerned, and I am as well. And so what we have done a couple days ago, some of you know, we introduced our very first bill yesterday. Actually, it wasn't a couple days ago. It just feels like it with the rate of everything happening. Our Stop Musk Act, and it is protecting federal employees from retaliation when they refuse to comply with Elon Musk or anyone that he is overseeing's request to do anything illegal. If they circumvent it, refuse any of those things, they are protected from retaliation. Our federal employees right now, like many Oregonians, are feeling extremely vulnerable, and that is just the first group that's feeling vulnerable and scared right now. Obviously, our immigrant families are having an enormous challenge right now. We have people who are afraid to go to work, people who are afraid to go to school, and certainly even church and places that should be sanctuaries for folks. So we too are very concerned about that. We are planning to do a discussion with Attorney General Dan Rayfield next week on that. So hopefully folks will join us for that as well. I'm going to look. There is a question from Zachary Freeman. How does going to EPA and HHS help raise the profile on combating Elon Musk? And love what you're doing. Well, thank you, Zach. Really what it does is we just need as many eyes as possible on the fact that Elon Musk is taking unilateral illegal action in places he really has no legitimate right to be acting. He is a special governmental employee. That does not mean that he has been vetted. He certainly has not been confirmed or gone through any sort of elections process. So he is an individual with ridiculous amounts of power. And so going to the EPA, going to HHS today, which Zachary's mentioned two of the places where we've done press conferences today, hopefully just raises awareness. And really what we've been saying is we're going to fight this hostile takeover of our government in every way possible, and that's certainly in the halls of Congress. But really importantly, it's on the streets and in the public sphere. And so that's where going to these places and getting press coverage and making statements helps with that. Understanding that you're not alone when you're concerned about your environment, concerned about public health. That's really important. We are not wanting to talk in an echo chamber. We want to hear from folks, which is why we're here tonight. So really excited to be doing this. I'm looking to see if anyone's making comments or questions. I really would love to understand what's on your minds. Like, what are the things that are upsetting you right now? Representative Ruiz, thank you so much for joining us. Ricky Ruiz is the remarkable representative for Gresham, and he's been a champion really elevating the concerns of our immigrant communities. And so Ricky, thank you so much for being here. We couldn't agree more that this is an incredibly vulnerable time for our communities, and especially those who are either undocumented or fearful that somebody will assume that they're undocumented, frankly. So we need to stand together. We've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. We have to stand together and stand tight, stay tight, and make sure that we are pressing on against this authoritarian movement that we are seeing. So thank you, Eric, Liz, for asking about Medicaid funding. We had SEIU members here today. We had primary care advocates. We've had many groups here in DC asking the same question. And the number one thing I'll tell you is that that is one of the most important questions we can be asking. Medicaid provides over 40% of the healthcare coverage for children in this country. Oregonians, 25% of Oregon's healthcare. And there's dual eligible folks with Medicare and Medicaid who are some of the most vulnerable aging Oregonians. If Medicaid is on the chopping block, as we have heard very clearly signaled by this administration, then that's going to not just undermine healthcare access for people in Oregon, it's also going to dramatically decrease the budget that's going to be available because of the federal subsidies that Oregon receives. If those dollars don't come in to take care of folks, we're going to have to make impossible decisions in Salem about where our investments and where our dollars go. So number one healthcare priority is Medicaid, with close or equal access or priority being ACA subsidies, because those are really critical to keeping our rural and underserved hospitals especially, but all hospitals operating. I'm looking through to see what else I have missed. And I would love, how will your committee assignments help push back on Trump and Musk? So we just came from a meet and greet with natural resource advocates. The room is filled with environmental activists who are paying very close attention to what's happening. Environmental protections have been decimated. The Department of Justice has reappropriated or repositioned, I think, most of the environmental lawyers who their jobs are to enforce the EPA's most core laws, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act. We have no one to go out there and do that enforcement right now. So it's basically an open time for polluters to have at it. Our administration clearly has signaled that that is not the priority. So me being on natural resources, which is one of the committees I serve on, I'm very privileged to be the ranking member on the oversight committee. My job is going to be to try to hold the administration accountable, to hold shadow hearings if we can't get the full subcommittee to have hearings, to go on field or have field hearings in places where we know things are happening that are not being enforced to the extent of the law. We are absolutely trying to understand what all the options are right now. So environmental protection is one of the most important things for my agenda, certainly for most Oregonian agendas that I have heard of or heard from. And then I also serve on the Veterans Affairs Committee, where I am on the Health Subcommittee. Our veterans' health care is in jeopardy. There's a move towards privatization. There's been a freeze on federal employees. My understanding is approximately 1/3 of all federal employees are working in the Veterans Administration. This is a bipartisan commitment to protecting the people who have served our country, who have created the ability for us to all live free lives. We are committed as Democrats on this committee to protecting access to health care, certainly, and access to the benefits that our veterans have bravely earned. And somebody else was asking another question. I appreciate the support for my statements about Elon Musk being unelected. He's certainly not someone that was vetted by the people to serve the people. I'm pretty sure he was vetted by the billionaires, though, to serve the billionaires. Let's see, is there anything else that I'm looking at? Oh, question. My team's helping me out. Oh my goodness. So GDS Road, how am I taking care of myself during these stressful times? I've got this amazing team. They make me laugh. They certainly keep me busy, but they also are making this incredibly enjoyable and effective. So getting sleep when I can, the long cross-country flights are challenging, but I'm absolutely working on it and making time to exercise. So thank you so much for asking. I think that's the question so far. Come on, people. You got to know, you must want to know something. Oh, here, dismantling. Thank you, Lauren. Dismantling USAID. It's less than 1% of the total U.S. budget. Yes, thank you for knowing. Is going to have an impact for the U.S. on the world stage. Yes, it is one of the best investments our country makes. We are investing in stabilizing democracies across the world. Ebola containment when there are outbreaks in different parts of Africa. The fact that we have pulled out, that not only are we not providing U.S. aid, and PEPFAR has saved millions of people's lives, and that's a Bush Republican administration program. The fact that we're pulling out means that we are leaving vacuums of support across the world, including in Ukraine. We have just suddenly stopped all provision of support. These employees are left not knowing they're supposed to be on pause. They don't know how long that pause is going to be. People are going to do other things. And so we are abandoning these countries and these communities who are reliant on our food support, certainly healthcare and investments for infrastructure. And it is some of the most cruel and frankly absurd decisions that we've made so far. It's hard to say any one decision right now is more absurd than any other because it feels like they just keep coming. But divesting from USAID is just going to cause not only instability in those countries, but it leads to instability here. If somebody is ill with Ebola and can get on a flight and is not being screened, which is one of the things that USAID does, or if someone is in an unstable democracy and people now are becoming more vulnerable, threatened, it leads to war. Our national security is at risk in a much higher degree than it was before this divestment. So we apparently are trying to cut the budget everywhere we can. It's less than 1% of our budget, and it was some of the best investments that we could have made. So that was absolutely a poor decision. Looking through. So there are, so Fern Bench, thank you for asking whether Elon can possibly be sued through the privacy policy of the Treasury. I absolutely heard today from folks who are going about the judicial action, very robust actions being taken to sue where we can, and absolutely putting people's private information at risk is one of those areas where there are active lawsuits right now. I am not a lawyer, but I do know that we are investing not only as a legislative body and understanding where we can lean in, but throughout the judicial system, and our lawyer activists out there are coming in en masse, or in masse, I'm not sure which way you say it, somebody can tell me, to really help support our democracy right now. I do not have the authority to start a class action lawsuit personally, but absolutely, if there is the grounds for doing that, I would imagine that folks are already exploring that. But if there are people out there with legal expertise who know, please send us feedback on that, because we are happy to facilitate follow up on that. And Dusty, thank you. I did not come to Congress from our beautiful state of Oregon to take up space. Like, we are here. I've got an amazing, fired up, motivated, passionate team. We are fighting back every day. I am incredibly grateful for those of you who are reaching out with your stories. We've heard from individuals, whether it's ICE raids or being fired from the VA or being told that NIH grants are being put on hold, or just being really scared that Elon Musk has access to your private information, your most privileged information. Please keep calling. We need to hear from you. Your calls are what precipitated my first bill being the Stop Musk Act. We absolutely have other policies we're working on, but it was clear that people want to see us fighting. They want to know that they're being heard. And so this was a complete constituent-driven action, because we clearly heard you that we needed to do something. And Eric, Liz, thank you for asking how you all can help the most. Number one, calling. Number two, making sure your voices are heard in the public sphere. So we can harness the energy of our constituents. You've already heard how it happens, and we will be responding as Democrats, certainly, to our constituents, but really critically, those of you with Republican representatives or senators, please be reaching out to them. And really importantly right now, confirmation of some of these cabinet appointments. We are encouraging senators to vote no. We had the HHS press conference today, partly speaking about RFK Jr.'s appointment to be the Secretary of HHS. It is so reckless and so misinformed to even consider this. If those of you who have Republican representatives, senators, I'm thinking representatives, but senators, please let them know that if you don't agree with that appointment, because they need to know that their voters are not going to stand with them if they stand for chaos and cruelty over responsible governance. What is being done? So CJ Oregon, thank you. What is being done to protect traditional Medicare funding and benefit coverage for both seniors and people with disabilities, SSDI nationally? So far, the Trump administration has committed to not touching Social Security and Medicare. I will share, that there's absolutely concerns that will be later an effort, but as of right now, our understanding is there are no intentions to do that. There is no way that our population of voters who mostly look forward to being covered by Medicare or being covered by Medicare would want to undermine already extraordinary healthcare costs and to increase that for themselves. So my guess is Social Security and Medicare being some of the most supported and popular programs, entitlements in this country, is why they're not talking about going after those right now, but who knows? So we will fight like hell if that comes to pass. So Ania, I have a feeling I know who that might be. Following up on my appearance today at the EPA and my position on the Natural Resources Committee, can I tell you more about what I'm going to be doing on air quality issues in Congress? Thank you so much for asking. I'm a pulmonary and critical care doctor by training. I absolutely believe that air quality is one of the most rich opportunities to build bipartisan support. We need to be working together to protect health of all people, and some of the most effective ways to do that is to decrease pollutants in the air. When air quality goes down, people die. And, I've been taking care of people with asthma and COPD throughout my career, and we know that those folks who are most chronically exposed to pollutants are the ones who get the worst asthma and complications of respiratory illnesses. We had extraordinary impacts with the wildfires, especially in 2020 throughout the state of Oregon. So people know when they're breathing in air that is not good for them. You can feel it, you can taste it, you feel terrible when you do it. But we need people to not have to worry about breathing air. It should be a human right to breathe clean air. And certainly we have environmental protections in this country to try to support that, but those are being eroded actively right now. And that is part of why we were in front of the EPA today. A push for Trump's third term hopefully is a non-issue. Thank you for asking that question. He may try to maintain his leadership. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Americans are not going to stand for this for another term if we continue on the path that we're in. So what I'm hopeful of is that people will help this administration understand that they voted, not everyone, but certainly, the popular vote was won by Donald Trump. And we know that people voted for him to no small end because they thought that he was going to be a champion for them, that he was prioritizing people. And that is not what he's doing. He's prioritizing billionaires. And so he is trying to cut the budget in some of the most vulnerable areas of our country's economy to give tax breaks to his billionaire buddies. And so I don't believe that the American people are going to stand for that. I'm certainly going to do everything I can to help people understand what his actions are leading to, and I trust our voters. And so, but our democracy, make no mistake, is in jeopardy. And so we have to all take an active role to make sure that other people feel empowered to share their perspectives. And right now, I think there are still a lot of people really supporting Donald Trump. And my hope is that we will do everything we can to raise awareness on what actually is happening and that people will understand that he's not operating in their best interests. Someone is asking about $20 million from Angelina Jolie. My rule is to not talk about things that I don't know about, so I'm not sure about anything about that, so I won't mention that, but I do think that people are trying to help in whatever way they can, and I have to assume that she is doing that because she thinks it's going to help at this time. I'm just continuing to go down the list here, and thank you to those of you who have continued to jump in, and to those of you who have stayed through. So in the House, we have some of the most we have the greatest opportunity to push back. We only need 3 Republicans to vote with us. We could shut everything down. We could deny a quorum. Or we could bring people to the Democrat side and negotiate to protect people as we go through the budget reconciliation process, which is coming up imminently. And so far, the Republicans have not gotten organized. This is not going smoothly right now. They are not showing that they are in alignment altogether, which would be necessary to pass a budget without Democrats. So they need us, and they thus far are not building confidence that we can work together. So this is some of the most challenging times to build a budget together, and they absolutely are abdicating their responsibility to work together. So I'm hoping, and certainly the understanding of what is to come, is that people will make their voices heard, and there are good people on the Republican side. I have many that I've met in my class who really want to do a good job for their districts. And so my hope is that they will listen to their districts, and that if they are not serving their districts in the way they want to be served, that they will listen. But that requires that people make their voices heard. And regardless, Democrats are going to continue to fight for people. And the values that I bring to this are that we need to invest in working families and provide the opportunity for people at least to continue to survive. They should be thriving, but at this moment, I'm not optimistic that we are going to expand investments in vulnerable communities, but we absolutely need to maintain. And so Medicaid cuts and other things that are on the table theoretically, we are not going to agree to. How is the Americans with Disabilities Act being protected? I will just be frank with you, CJ Oregon, that I don't know that right now our administration is trying to protect anyone other than billionaires. So I would not say that we are seeing that happen. I'm not abdicating my role here, but we can't pass bills in the minority without the help of our Republican colleagues. So if you have advocacy that you want to share, please share it with us, but also share it with others who might have the capacity to help. Why am I so focused on fighting Trump instead of helping Oregonians? It's an interesting question, and I certainly will just turn that back around and say that fighting Trump right now feels like what my voters want. We are hearing from people, thousands of people, that they want us to fight what's going on. Now, remember, I've got a very progressive district. We have many Democrats in this district who have values that I hopefully am representing. So I believe that every person has a right to exist, that they are protected, that they are protected. Every Oregonian is protected in a sanctuary state. That is foundational in our state's documents. People are not feeling protected right now when there's threats of ICE and which is the immigration enforcement, and that I used an acronym and wanted to describe that, but Treasury, your social security numbers being in the hands of Elon Musk and teenagers who are working with him to, go through it and find out what they're doing. We don't have the capacity to fight that without being vocal about it and helping people be aware of it. I don't have the authority to tell them what to do. We need to get the courts to put a stay on this or to intervene, and we need Donald Trump hopefully to hear that this is not something that the voters support, and we know that he does listen to people. He likes to have broad support. So if he does not feel like things are supported, we're hoping that he'll listen to the people. So I'm not fighting Donald Trump as much as I'm fighting for the things that I believe, from everything I'm hearing, that Oregonians want me to fight for. And I serve Oregonians. So if you have different perspectives, please share. My core values have been shared over and over again, and that I'm a healer who wants to take care of people and make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to live a fulfilling, healthy life in the state of Oregon. Brittany Munoz, you're one of my constituents. I'd like you're going to share your thoughts on increased deportations occurring in the U.S. Oregon leadership, that is one place that I have zero doubt they are going to show up. Dan Rayfield and Tina Kotek have been talking about this or working for it, have underlined Keith Wilson in the city of Portland, the Multnomah County Commissioners. Every elected leader at every level of government in Oregon that I've seen have stood up for our sanctuary commitments and the idea that every Oregonian gets equal protection under the law, regardless of documented status or not. And we absolutely need to hold tight to that. We are hearing of elementary school teachers who are offering to be foster parents if immigrant families or parents are abducted while their kids are at school. This is not a situation that any of us should be comfortable with. Even the threat of having your parents taken while you're at school should make us all chilled and wanting to fight against that. People need protection. People deserve equal protection. And that is what I believe, and it's certainly what I'm hearing our state leaders believing and acting for. And, whether or not our enforcement agencies will comply or to participate with ICE, that is not consistent with the law, and we are hoping that our law enforcement agents and others will stick with that. Is the info of regular people out there from the theft, or is it only government employees? Oh, I think that's the information at the Treasury that you're referring to, and everyone's information has been made available. So this is over $5 trillion a day that goes through the Department of Treasury. We know that information is being fully scanned by people who have never been cleared for, just to run for office. We need to be vetted. These folks did not get vetted in any way, shape, or form, and they have full access to some of our most privileged financial information, and it is comprehensively believed that they have access to everyone's information. So I'm sorry that it's not just, not that it would be okay if it was just employees, but it's everybody. There are lots of rumors about where DOJ is going next. Department of Education, lots of different places. I don't know, and what I do know is where they've been and where they're doing great harm. Moms for Oregon, welcome. I saw your new swag. I'm going to just elevate it. Really nice work. We love what you do. Thank you for being here. And Louse House, I am so grateful to hear that you are from Texas and you don't stand with your senators on, I don't see a complete thought there, so you're probably like me and hit send before you meant to, but whatever it is you don't stand with your senators on, please make sure that they know. Julie Johnson, one of my freshman classmates from Dallas, is remarkable. She's fiery. If you're in Dallas, you've got a fantastic representative. If you're not, I won't comment because I don't know where you live, so I should stop talking. Okay. I don't know specifically about allocations of dollars to places in Gaza or anywhere else from USAID. I would not conjecture or make a statement, but I certainly don't believe that helping build terror tunnels is something that I would want our dollars to go to. I would want to know more information about that. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there right now. I'm not saying that that's what that is, but I can't comment. And certainly the dollars are not perfectly spent. We know that. There are decisions made that not all of us would make. But the investment in stabilizing areas of great strife is absolutely something I support. And Gaza, of all places, has been subjected to enormous destruction. And so I do think that aid to Gaza is something that I would stand for. And whether or not it's cement for tunnels, I can't say. So I'm sorry about that. Appreciate some of the just kudos for doing this. We're going to do it again. If you all like this, please let us know, because maybe we'll get more people next time. We did not publicize this. We wanted to give it a run, and I think my team was worried that I might say things that they didn't support, or that they can't control me when I'm just off the cuff riffing, and I tend to be a little bit goofy at the end of the day, so they're laughing over there, and I'm getting hearts for it. So I'm sorry. Thank you for being sorry. They want me to be very serious, and it turns out that you have to keep a sense of humor in all of this. Like, if you don't have a sense of humor, how are you going to get through this? This is really serious, trying stuff. And I believe that you've got to laugh to get through it. I'm a critical care doc. We go through some of the worst times together, and the gallows humor is what we refer to it as. It's real. People need to be able to laugh even in times of great stress. And so I look forward to hearing from you all. If you are supportive of hearing that your representative can be goofy and a little bit silly at times, but I will not make no mistake. I take this job extraordinarily seriously. I'm here because I want to do work for the people of Oregon. I want to protect Oregonians. My children deserve a better world than we have created thus far, and that's why I'm here. I didn't give up a career that I love to take up space and not be effective. I'm glad that you were at the EPA rally, Ariella. I'm sorry that it wasn't bigger as well, but I think that each time we do this and people are fired up, we're going to get more and more folks. So bring a friend next time, and hopefully we don't have to do it at the EPA again. Hopefully we get that taken care of, but I'm just sorry we have to do rallies every day. Like, good God, could we just protect our agencies and move on to taking care of people? It's interesting, Simone Pierre, that sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I'm not saying to resist at all costs. In fact, I want to center Oregonians. But when Oregonians are being threatened, absolutely I'm going to resist. And frankly, we're in the minority. We can't pass laws without help from the majority. So some of what the tactics are going to be I think, need to be proportionate to the threat. And right now, I don't know if we've had a threat as significant as this to our democracy and to our national security and our public health in my lifetime, and probably much longer than that. So I do think that there is a time where robust and vigorous resistance is necessary. And we're hearing that from Oregon voters. This isn't just my impression. I'm getting thousands of phone calls asking me to do more, to fight harder. So I'm never going to make everyone happy, but my values are very firmly with the people of Oregon and making sure that people have the ability to live healthy and fulfilling lives. I'm glad that somebody's the best rapper alive. Congratulations. I really hope to be able to support you. I will not ever back down from standing up for marginalized communities. I've got white skin and privilege as a career, from a professional career. If I'm not standing up for marginalized communities, like, what am I doing? So that is absolutely a commitment. that's part of why you elect leaders who share values, hopefully. And I would hope that we all believe that those who are most vulnerable should be protected. Asking me, how does being a physician help me as a lawmaker? Well, one, I have stories that I can tell about patients from the last 20 years that cover just about any bill that we are going to address. Whether it's safe road crossings, people that I've taken care of who have gotten hit by cars and have been harmed in that way, overdoses. I've been a big champion of harm reduction and access to addiction treatment. In fact, we were debating that issue on the floor today. I don't believe we should be criminalizing addiction. And I know that because I've sat with people with addiction and they need space to fail. Someone who wants to be better, who wants to not be addicted to whatever substance. Tobacco is the one I'm most familiar with, but certainly opioids and methamphetamines from my work in the ICU. These folks, over and over again, want to get better, but addiction is a chronic disease. And so what I can bring to this is the personal face of people who are struggling with diabetes being uncontrolled and having no access to insulin that they can afford, or rationing it so that they end up in diabetic crisis in my intensive care unit, putting their lives at risk every time. That is a policy decision that we've made as a country. And I, as a physician, can speak to that in a very different way than a theoretical. So I believe it's important. And then, foundationally, I build relationships with people every day when I see them in the hospital or in the clinic. And these are not Republicans or Democrats, they're people. And that is who I take care of. And so I bring to every interaction I have the optimism that we have areas where we're going to agree and areas we're going to disagree. And my job is to lean in and understand someone's perspective who's scared and at one of the most vulnerable times of their lives. A lot of people are feeling that right now. So, and then the other thing I'll just say is that I don't really flinch under pressure. I'm gonna continue to rally. I'm gonna work hard, and I'm not gonna be someone who gets deterred from hard times. I've leaned in through those, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So I think that being a physician actually prepares you incredibly well for being a lawmaker. That all being said, we need every physician we can get in healthcare, so we probably need to do better training people and making a healthcare system that's better, so not so many physicians feel like they need to go into policy. Make sure to save this live on your profile when I end the live. I'm giving that feedback to my team sitting here, and they're nodding. So thank you for elevating that. I wouldn't have known to do that. And I agree, there's been a lot of great questions. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the White House or wherever else. What I can control is right here, and we are going to fight like hell. I'll just tell you that. I am so glad that you all are here, and I will continue to communicate with you. If there's other ways that you want me to communicate with you, please share. The Instagram Live is obviously one way, but I'm sure there's many others. I'm just scrolling through people. Serious chronic illnesses impact people of all ages. Best bipartisan path forward on funding. I am looking for those opportunities, certainly. The commitment that this administration has had is to cutting enormously from our budget. So I'm not sure there's going to be a lot of bipartisan alignment around investments. I think what we need is bipartisan alignment around protecting investments that have already been made. So expanding is not something I'm really expecting right now. Chronic disease management is best done in an exam room and between a physician and a doctor. And so what I believe is that everyone should have full access to the healthcare that they need, and funding that is a priority for me. I don't think I, as a politician, should be deciding who gets healthcare or who doesn't. That is between a doctor and a patient. I don't know. The weather in Oregon is not so bad. I actually find it to be quite delightful. I would love to know what people's favorite seasons are. I know that's a little bit off topic, but my 2 and 6-year-old niece and nephew had very different perspectives. One loves winter and one loves summer. So in Oregon, we get the delightful ability to enjoy all seasons. And that's not true in some parts of the country. So I think it's fantastic. There's always change to look forward to. Thank you for being in service with the California Conservation Corps. I would love to understand how we can invest in that even more. And we are thinking about ways to have flex teams, whether it's from the medical providers, which is something I'm concerned about, but Conservation Corps and the work that people do to protect communities from the impacts of wildfire and other natural disasters is really important. So thank you for doing that work. If you have ideas on how we can help, please don't hesitate to send them our way. Dexter.house.gov is our website, and there's ways that you can send us information there. But I believe that public service is one of the greatest opportunities to understand where policy is working and where it's not. And my kids are both at an age where I'm encouraging them to think about it. I think when you work with people at vulnerable times, you gain insight and understanding and find different paths to a professional career. So thank you for doing that. I certainly want to extend investment and opportunities to do that. Thank you, Ellie Morrison, for your kind words. I couldn't be more grateful, and I know that you've helped me get here, so thank you for that. Mitigate some of these natural disasters. The number one way to mitigate these natural disasters is to mitigate climate change. We know that we are absolutely being exposed to increasingly destructive and unpredictable weather patterns and natural disasters, and it's not a huge mystery. Climate change is the number one reason for that. So we need to mitigate climate change to mitigate some of these natural disasters. And those natural disasters are killing more people and putting more harm into our communities than anything else right now. So that is 100% part of why I'm on the Natural Resources Committee. Thank you for sharing your favorite season. What's funny is I always think the season I'm in is my favorite one until you get towards the end, and then I'm ready for the next one. So just to ask me at the end, like right now, I'm kind of done with winter, but I'm really looking forward to spring. Current status with USAID. So we have been, thank you for asking. We touched on it, but it's extraordinarily at risk. All funds have been frozen. We don't know for how long. It's a pause, we are told, but how long do you expect folks who are working internationally to wait? We know that even if the pause is lifted, a lot of harm is being done every day that we are not sending those dollars to these very vulnerable parts of the world. And yes, so I did take action against Elon Musk. I'm just going to elevate my first bill again because we just filed it yesterday. For those of you who have changed, the Stop Musk Act. It is protecting federal workers from retaliation who stand up against Elon Musk or any of his team who ask them to do illegal things like disclosing the most privileged financial information of Americans across this country. So we stand with our workers, we stand with the people who are trying to protect your information from Elon Musk and the administration's nefarious acts. We aren't really sure what they're trying to do with this yet, but I certainly don't think it's for your benefit. There's more questions in the question bank. Sorry about that. I think some of those went into the chat because you guys were realizing that that's where I was looking. I have been in touch with Dan Rayfield, the Attorney General. I actually met with him and his team on last Tuesday when a lot of these freezes and totally cruel instability, chaos, all the things started in a lot of ways. And Dan Rayfield is someone who has extraordinary integrity and commitment, and I trust his leadership, and I certainly am talking to him. We'll hopefully be doing a telephone town hall in the next week. And I've heard some questions about George Soros and USAID. I've heard that they're not substantiated. I don't know. So I'm sorry I can't answer with more insight into that question. And I've talked about the committee's assignments with the Veterans Affairs and Natural Resources. There are two of the most critical areas, I think, for us to push back is healthcare. I'm on the health subcommittee on the Veterans Affairs Committee, as well as on natural resources. I'm the ranking member on oversight, which is a great honor. Protecting our veterans should be a non-issue. We should all agree that they've served our country and we should serve them. So those are two areas where I'm pushing back, and certainly I have colleagues across every committee who are going to be pushing back for the benefit, we hope, of Americans across the world, or the country. And thank you again for folks' support. I'm seeing very kind comments in there. I'm not seeing other questions that I really am behind on. So maybe I'll just share that we are dividing our days, listening to folks, acting on current legislation. Today I spoke out against criminalizing addiction, which is part of the HALT Act, which was voted on today. We are working in committee to bring forward perspectives. We are going to be talking about Indian education next week on the 12th, and trying to bring a balanced perspective. I certainly don't believe that we should be cutting funding for Indian education. Those are tribal driven investments that we are obligated as a government to support. And so we are going to be calling witnesses to help tell a story about why disinvestment from education leads to poorer outcomes. I think we've seen that across our country, and it's certainly happening in our Indian schools. Somebody's asking what compelled me to go to DC, and what is my legacy going to be? What a great question. The legacy that I want to leave is a better world and a country for my children. My kids are growing up with the existential threat of climate change from the time that they were small. My 5-year-old son saw, and it was a compelling image. I think it was true for a lot of kids. Polar bears floating away, baby polar bears from mothers because of ice floats that are melting. And that child has had anxiety about climate change throughout his life. And my daughter and son don't believe that government works, that the government doesn't do anything. And that lack of foundational faith in government, I think, is how we got here. So my goal is to create an increased faith in government. And what that requires is bilateral, two-way communication with the people that I represent. You hopefully will tell me what I can do to help support your values, and I can tell you what I can do and then learn from you in other ways that I can serve you. But until people believe that government is there to do things for them, to support their ability to thrive, not just survive, we are going to continue to have a very unstable democracy. People need to believe that our government can work. And so my legacy, I hope, is a safer environment or world for our children, and a democracy that people actually believe in and will support. And until we serve the majority of people, I think we're at risk. And our democracy certainly is in crisis right now. We are getting close to the end. I think there's another question in here. It does feel awkward when I'm reading and you all are staring at me, but hopefully you're giving me grace. I'm not sure which question that I missed, so my team who's sitting here, if there's something I should be talking about, let me know. I also think that the basic reality is that we're running out of time, and I would love to just plug our website, dexter.house.gov. We are building out resources every day. It's where you can connect directly to us by email. It has our phone numbers, it has our addresses for our district office and our DC office. We have an amazing team in the district. We will be doing, we hope, a town hall next weekend on the 12th. Is that right? Or what day is it? Oh, I'm being shown. Oh my gosh, and Representative Ruiz. It sounds like he has agreed to do it. So I will be with Ricky Ruiz at Centennial High School on February 8th at 1 p.m. Thank you, Ricky. I can't wait to sit with you. I miss you. Ricky is one of the most joyful, hardworking representatives that I've ever met. So it'll be a delight to get to work with him. Subscribe to my newsletter. If you go to dexter.house.gov and click or just go to the website, it pops up. Please subscribe to the newsletter. We just sent out another one today. We have a phenomenal open rate. So I hope that those of you who want to get information from us will continue to subscribe, because that is how we can get two-way communication going and certainly keep you updated. And, I will share the feedback that I should live stream our town halls. I am not the tech person, but my team can do it. Okay, and there's apparently a question on HR 59, and my team is looking forward to helping answer that question. I think we're running out of time, and it's probably a better way to get a thoughtful answer to you. So dexter.house.gov, subscribe to the newsletter. We will do a countdown next time for Instagram Live so that hopefully more folks will know about it. We were a little afraid of having too many people and have technical difficulties, but clearly I can navigate. So hopefully my team over here feels a little bit more confident that I'm not going to mess up too much. I would love to hear from you what topics you'd like to talk about, but I think top of mind right now was Elon Musk, and I'm sure times will change the topic as it seems to change fast these days. Thank you so much for being engaged. And if you're not already following me, we passed 2,000 today on Instagram. Please follow me, because we are trying to gain more viewers and followers so that we can communicate directly with you. And thank you all for your support. And I think they're going to turn me off here.